Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Today, I'm going to go over force feedback with you really quick, steering degree, rotation, and how to set up your wheel a little better than you might already have it. So, the first things first is the steering degree rotation. Every day you will hear, put your wheel on 900 degrees. It's the most realistic, and you shouldn't do anything else because it's the most realistic. First of all, that is wrong. People that have real life race cars or real life racing experience will know that different cars have different steering angles. For example, the F1 car versus a GT3 car versus another GT3 car versus a GT2 car versus a Porsche 911 RS and a go-kart. All of these cars are going to react differently. They're all going to have different feedback. They're all going to have different degrees of rotation on their wheel, which is going to allow them to steer their car quicker and more responsive than other people's cars. So if at any point on this game you are finding yourself with the issue of steering and your car is not steering enough, and this is a consistent problem that you have, turn the steering degree rotation down today. I have mine at 340 because I was playing Dirt Rally 2.0. I usually cut up around 500. It's the biggest difference in the world. So enough of that now. The next thing that we're going to talk about is your actual force feedback and what we can do to make this feel better. One of the biggest problems I see with people and their force feedback is they have either too much feedback at a low speed, so they get unnecessary rumbling and vibrations on their car, or they don't have enough feedback, or they're driving down the road and their car is swerving pretty much because their wheel has so much feedback on its own. The first thing that we need to do is disable enable centering spring force feedback games. This here, uncheck it, keep it unchecked. That is going to always be trying to center your wheel, which is going to provide you a resistance and also make it harder to steer. So we don't want that on. Now, the other thing here that you want to have on is, for me, I like to go 75%, 80, 50, 40. It's a personal preference, honestly. It's just like everything else with this game. It's all going to be personal preference. But for me, with my Logitech wheel, I find these settings to be very linear, and they are not super demanding. It's not super powerful, but it's consistent. It always feels really good and consistent. The minimum force at 1%, please turn this down. You don't want this high. That just means that the minimum force for your wheel is going to be that percentage. So if you hit the wall ever so slightly, it's still going to provide you with however much you have this at for your force. So if you're doing 10 kilometers and you hit a wall, you should get, 1% to like 10% of feedback. You shouldn't have 20, 30, 40% off of a little tap. So keep that in mind. Curb effects, road effect, slip effect, ABS effect. If you are driving your car and you want your wheel to violently shake when you hit the brakes, then turn this up. If you don't want your car to shake or do anything weird outside of what you want it to do, then just turn these down, turn them off, and experiment with them one at a time at a later date. What I will tell you is the Logitech wheel does not have a bunch of technology with a nice system in place to replicate these effects. So we don't want to use them. That's my opinion. You guys can have your opinion. Everybody can have their opinion. But for me, myself, I have found having all of these things off provides me with the smoothest wheel for my Logitech system and also the quietest that I can have my Logitech system. What I'm getting at here is Logitech wheels have issues that are out of the box that aren't technically issues, but you still have to fix them. And today, just by doing these couple simple things, I'm willing to bet that your wheel is going to feel a lot better. Another thing to do here is the low speed threshold. We want to turn that down as well. and that's going to be the best kind of settings in my opinion for the comfortability of your wheel. And if you want, just copy what I have here. Even if you're on a Thrustmaster or something, I'm sure that if you didn't do much to it and it doesn't feel right or you're not sure, trying this out, what do you have to lose? Just give it a shot. It's not for everybody. This is a light wheel feeling. This isn't a super heavy wheel. It's not a super big feedback setting. This is a nice, mild, kind of pick it up and play for anybody setting. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, you guys, is a very controversial topic when it comes to this wheel setup stuff, and I am going to talk about the wheel check system and why I personally don't use it, and why I don't think anybody with a Logitech wheel should be using the wheel check LUT generator stuff. Now, if you have a Thrustmaster or you have a Fanatec wheel or direct drive or belt driven, I can totally understand using this. But on a Logitech wheel, the wheel check is designed to eliminate dead zones in your wheel. But when you have a Logitech wheel that has a gear driven system with some electrical power and whatnot, you have dead zones that are going to naturally be in the wheel, and they are naturally always going to be there, and there's probably not an artificial way to just quickly remove all these dead zones on a gear driven wheel. To me, it reminds me of a transmission of a car and how over time your synchros for gear transitioning will start to wear out, and there's nothing you can really do about that. I kind of feel the same way about dead zones with force feedback with Logitech wheels. Is it's there is dead zones. There's no actual way to totally get past them. And every time I have done a wheel check LUT generator system, I have had problems, man. And I don't mean I have had problems in myself setting it up or using it. I'm totally capable. I set it up fine. I've tried different values of points of recognition on the wheel. I got my feedback line to be perfectly linear. I did everything correctly multiple times, and it always left me with an over feedback feeling in my wheel. I always felt like there was too much low speed rumbling, too much low speed shaking, too stiff. It's just a way to fix something that, in my opinion, is a design fault of the wheel. For being a cheap entry level wheel, you're gonna have dead zones. That's just my opinion. So hopefully today everybody learned something good to help them out a bit here. I know the wheel check thing is all personal preference and opinion, but I mean, hey man, the whole entire game is personal preference and personal opinion on all these settings. So if you're having issues with your force feedback settings, try my settings out today if you want. It's not always about what you got, it's about how you set it up, especially with Logitech wheels. And these wheels that I have that I'm using, this G27, is very smooth. It's not loud, other than the wheel itself as a design flaw. But compared to how it used to be when I first started playing this game, my wheel is completely different now, and it actually feels probably as good as I'm ever going to get it to feel before I upgrade to a T300 RS or something like that. So that's the video today, everybody. Just remember, it's not about what you got, it's about how you set it up. If you need any help with your graphics settings, anything to do with Discord settings, anything to do with Assetto Corsa, come on, check out my Discord today. There's a bunch of guides in there, a whole bunch of good, useful stuff that you might not know about. You got nothing to lose. Everything is 100% free. Stay gaming, everybody. Have a great day out there, and hopefully we'll see you out in these streets.